our Youth International Fellowship Program, which is themed Transforming Youth through Digital Skills and Industry Knowledge. The Youth International Fellowship Program is a 10-week program specially designed to provide young people with relevant personal development and top-notch digital skills.
Engineer Omar Farugul, founding President Youth International Conclave. It's a great pleasure welcoming you to the Youth International Fellowship Program. As a president of this organization, I am so excited to have such a diverse group of young individuals from almost 30 countries who are joining this fellowship program. This program is designed to provide the necessary tools, skills, and opportunities which are going to help you becoming the successful entrepreneur, the successful leader. Hi everyone, I hope we are audible. Please comment on the live video section so that we can see that we are audible. Thank you so much, Hannah, for your precious time and looking forward for the amazing session. This topic is really, my favorite topic, personal branding, which is very, very important and plays a very great role on individual basis as well as if you're working on a corporate level. So looking forward for your great session.
Absolutely.
So thank you. So
well, thank
over
you
to
for
you,
having
please.
me. Yes, absolutely. So firstly, thank you, Umar, for the invitation. I have to say, when I heard about the work that you're doing with Youth International Conclave and the wonderful mission to empower young leaders around the world, I was really inspired myself and excited to be a part of the important group and community that you are building. So my hope here today is to share some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was quite young, and personal branding was a really important catalyst in enabling me to create a lot of the opportunities that I have been very grateful to have. So looking forward to delivering the session and to engaging with those of you that are joining us live.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you like to share your screen now?
Yes, absolutely. I will go ahead and do that. Okay, so can everybody see my screen before we get started, just to be sure? Fantastic. All right, so thank you so much.
Visible.
Perfect. So hello, everybody. My name is Hannah Kathleen Hawkshaw, and in today's session with Youth International Conclave and TechCon, we will be discussing a topic that is really crucial in today's society, and it is building your personal brand. Brand you, as I like to refer to it. So this session will be an introduction to personal branding so that you can discover how to unleash your unique potential and build a brand that aligns with your career goals and your aspirations. So what is your personal brand? This is a question that comes up time and time again. And a very simple way of thinking about it is your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So think about that for a second. How many times do we, as young professionals, young leaders, or aspiring professionals, go into a room to network, to present ourselves, to put ourselves forward for relevant opportunities, whether it be a new job, a promotion, or looking to attract a new client? Personal branding is something that there is essentially no escape from in today's digital world. And what my hope is to help you today find what your unique value is so that you can start presenting that in a way that is authentic to who you are and authentic to your values, so that when you are going into these rooms in the future and people are discussing what they have met you and what they have learned about you, they feel that the presentation they have received of who you are as a person and a brand is in alignment with what you wish to convey when it comes to your skill sets and your career goals, as I mentioned. So my name is Hannah Kathleen Hawkshaw, and I am an entrepreneur in a nutshell. So as I briefly shared before we started the session, I began my journey as an entrepreneur when I was quite young, when I started a fashion blog at the age of 12. And that blog is a very important part of my story in the sense that it taught me the power of personal branding, and it was the catalyst behind the career that I have been lucky to have so far. So I won Best Fashion Blog at the National Blog Awards of Ireland in 2017 and went on to create my own brand agency called iGen Creative, which has been a vehicle for me to work with some amazing people and companies around the world, and also enabled me to speak in some very different interesting locations. So I've actually spoken now on 3 continents, and thanks to the digital age that we live in, I've also been able to deliver presentations to different communities like Youth International Conclave as well over the years. But one thing that I'm also very passionate about is advocating for nonprofits. So I'm doing some work in the social impact space right now, and I'm also a singer-songwriter. And the reason I share these things with you is because this is who I am. This is what makes me me. And the personal brand that we are going to be diving into for you is essentially the red thread that goes between your projects. So you'll notice in some of the exercises that I'm going to share, understanding what makes you who you are. For example, a big part of who I am is music, actually influences how you will present to the world, how you will start to build relationships, and how you can share not just what position you are in or what position you wish to have, but your personality, so that people actually start to see the person behind the position or the role, so that they can really build a relationship with you, whether that's an employer, a client, an audience that you wish to grow, so that you can really create more opportunities for yourself. So just to share a little bit in terms of visuals, as I said, I've been very lucky to have some amazing experiences. I've gotten to speak in some very interesting places and to meet some very interesting people, such as Sir Richard Branson, which was a real honor. And today, as we said, we're going to be diving into Brand You. So I want you to feel like you can climb the staircase in making things happen for yourself, so that you feel confident in how you're conveying your message, you feel authentic in how you're conveying your message, and you feel as though you can take one step at a time to reach the goal that you have set for yourself effortlessly. So why brand? Well, what you need to know is 3 very important things. Number 1, brand is perception. As I said, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. But one other word that comes to mind is also narrative. As I said earlier, everybody has a personal brand. It is something that you cannot escape from, especially in today's digital age. However, many people are not aware of the narrative that is being presented and have not yet taken control of that narrative. So what I would encourage you to think about as we get into this session is, what is the perception that people currently have of you, and how can we influence it in a way that injects your personality, injects your skills, injects your values into it, so that you feel that what people perceive is really aligned with who you are and what you can bring to the table. It also creates opportunities. So as I shared some of the opportunities that I've been able to have as a result of the personal brand that I've built for myself, it can also enable you to pursue the dream job that you're looking for, to feel confident asking for your promotion, or to engage new prospects, new clients, new partners, and the list goes on to your business and your organization. And it also helps you to build influence. And building your influence is quite important in today's day and age, because it will just enable you to reach more people with your message. And it's quite simply, how do you communicate with the people that you wish to help to create more opportunity, to create more relationships, which are very important in today's society and also in business in general, to create the end result that you're looking for. But brand versus branding. Maybe some of you can share with me if you know the difference. I would love for you to be engaging with me in the chat. However, if we break it down, your brand is who you are. It's the message that you wish to share. And the branding is how are we executing that on the channels. It's the website, it's the social media presence, it's the newsletter, and the list goes on. So your brand is who you are, and your branding is how you are conveying that. A couple of quick insights. Number one, it takes just 10 seconds for someone to form an impression of your brand. What does this mean for you? It means we must start thinking about, how are you currently presented? And how can we ensure when somebody engages with you for the first time, whether it's in person or on social media, on your LinkedIn, that they are seeing the version of you that is true to your authentic self and shares the value that you wish to present. And secondly, it increases revenues by up to 23% when you have consistent and congruent branding. And this is very, very important, because that's a significant impact on your income potential. It's a significant impact on your company's income potential if you're working with within your own organization or a greater business. So it's just very important to realize that there are statistics that back this up. And my hope, as I said, is to just share some insights with you so that you feel this is a journey you are able to take with the knowledge, the understanding, and the tools to start making a difference with your personal brand today. So, a quick question for everybody. Who wants to be a celebrity? Maybe I can see some hands go up, or I can see some messages in the chat. Quite often, when I ask this question, nobody's hands go up, especially when I am delivering a speech in person, because it's something that many of us don't wish to be, right? It can be, sometimes there can be a negative connotation, or if you are in the business space, you're thinking, I absolutely don't want this for myself. But if we reframe that question and ask, who wants to be the go-to person in your niche, in your space? Then all of a sudden hands go up, and I'd love to see some of your hands going up. I can see some hands going up. Yes, exactly. The reason I say this is because a lot of the time when personal branding comes up, we think social media, we think Instagram influencer, and the list goes on. And a lot of the time there can be a disconnect between a professional, especially a young professional or business leader, and that vision for yourself. However, what we are actually looking at is becoming the go-to in your niche rather than a celebrity or an influencer. So that when an opportunity comes up that is relevant to you and what you do, the first person that comes to mind in the mind of the potential employer or the client or the organization is your name. Imagine how powerful that could be within your community if somebody's looking, for example, for a web designer, and you've really architected your personal brand in a way that says what you can do for you and your community, and they think of you first, then all of a sudden there's a shift You don't only have to go out and look for people to work with, they're also thinking of you. That's what's really powerful, and that's where personal branding really comes into play. So one thing I would love for you to do, whether it be now or later today, is to Google yourself. And the reason I say this is because the question I'm asking is, are you Googleable? So many times we go to an event and we connect on social media. Before, everybody would exchange business cards and make a phone call, send a text, or write an email. However, today, the first thing that people are doing is they are going away and they are looking you up online. They are Googling you, they're checking your LinkedIn, they're looking at your social media profiles. And so the reason I am saying this is to consider, how are you currently presented? This is one action that you can take that is very small, but can give you tremendous insights into how other people are currently seeing you. So there's usually a few options. Sometimes you are nowhere to be found if there are other people who share your name. Maybe somebody else is ranking before you. Maybe you're difficult to find. Another option may be that you find things that you don't like and you think, oh my goodness, this is not in line with my professional goals, with my career aspirations, with authentically showcasing who I am. And then you may be thinking, I need to start taking control of that, or at least be part of the conversation. And the list goes on. I can see one of you who've attended say there will be zero searches. And this is exactly why. If people can't find you, then they can't come to you as a solution offer to them. So it's really just about thinking that your online presence, because that's where we're going to be focusing on a little bit more today, is your shop window. And if you're walking down a street and there are many different stores, but your store is nowhere to be found, then a client or a potential partner or employer cannot walk into your store and experience what you have to offer. So we need to make you findable, and we need to ensure that the message that you're presenting, as I said, is in alignment with who you are and what you can bring to the table. So personal branding allows you to leverage something which is called attraction marketing. And these two words are extremely powerful, because instead of relying solely on going out and knocking on doors and, trying to find the ideal opportunities, the ideal clients, the ideal employer, it will also enable you to attract opportunities to you. And just take a moment to imagine, how would it transform your life if all of a sudden people were coming to you because they already know what you can offer and how you can help them? How would that transform your life? Feel free to share it with me in the chat. This is the power of personal branding. And before we get into a couple of actionable steps, I'd love to just highlight two very powerful personal brand examples that can offer some inspiration to you all. One of them is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah is a name that is known across the world, and she has inspired millions of people to unleash their potential and be the best version of themselves by being authentically herself. And in a purpose statement that she has shared about her life, she shared that she wished to be a teacher, to provide other people tools and knowledge to transform their lives. And she is doing that through the different vehicles that she has, the different businesses that she offers, the different media channels. And as a result, she's been able to build a lot of equity in her brand with a $2.5 billion net worth. But if we think backwards, as I said, it's not only about accomplishing something as great as that. She is a very, very big example. It's about thinking, how does she translate her personality and her personal mission and purpose into the work that she does? And she's done that very well, hence her success. Additionally, another great example is Sir Richard Branson, and he has become one of the most well-known entrepreneurial personalities in the world. And the way he has done that is by being fiercely, authentically himself. You can see the personality in this photo, and that's become something that is very much associated with who he is and the brand he's built, and also the companies that he's built. So it's just about, how do you inject your personality, whether it be alongside your business or solely in your personal brand to give the human voice. So for those of you as well who are working within a corporation, or if you have your own business, there are two voices. It's not about choosing personal branding or corporate branding. It's about recognizing that there are both, okay? But your personal brand is the human voice alongside the collective voice of your organization. So that's what I want you to consider. And that's where Richard and Oprah are two great examples of how do they leverage their personal voice to help with their career aspirations and their career goals. So effective personal branding will differentiate you from the competition. It will build trust with your audience, and your audience could be prospective clients, employers, partners, and so on. And this is why personal branding is really, really important. For those of you that are here, if you would like to share in the chat what your goals are you looking to attract a new job opportunity, to secure a promotion? Are you looking to attract new clients to your business? This would be wonderful to know so that I can offer some more specific insights as we move forward. But this is really what effective personal branding will help you do. It will help you to stand out, or as I like to say, it will help you to brand out. So who are you? This is the first of 3 powerful questions that are simple yet influential in defining your personal brand. Who are you? Secondly, what is your message? And thirdly, how are you presenting yourself to the world? So who, what, and how. Be mindful of this as we move forward. And start thinking, how would you answer those questions for yourself? With the takeover of social media and the digital economy, personal branding is essential, and your personal brand is the unique combination of the skills and experiences that make you who you are. It is how you present yourself to your community and the world. And this is what we're diving into. So what I'm going to share shortly is a couple of action steps that you can take that will enable you to start exploring what does your personal brand look like, and how can you start to effectively convey that on your social channels to help you create more opportunities. So yes, somebody mentioned that personal branding, you need to utilize content on social media, of course. So what we're going to first focus on is what is the brand? And then from the brand, you can determine what content should you share that is in alignment with the goals that you have for yourself. So defining your brand, getting into the action steps. If anybody has a pen and paper next to you, you may wish to start writing down some notes. I love a typical pen and paper myself. You may prefer a tablet or using your mobile phone, but I encourage you to start brainstorming some answers to these questions. So number 1, primary goals. What do you wish to accomplish? This comes back to considering, where do you wish to go? So these questions now are about you. Okay, so what do you want to achieve? As I said, are you searching for a specific job promotion? Are you looking to attract certain clients to your business? What are the goals that you have, specific targets that you wish to achieve? And secondly, what do you want to be known for? If we think a little bit into the future, say a year down the line, what do you wish people to be recognizing you for? What is your contribution? What do people have to say about what you offer? Take a moment to brainstorm a couple of answers to these questions. Secondly, core values. What do you stand for? And what values lie at the heart of your brand? This is really, really important, because understanding your values and what's important to you, and then injecting them into your communication and how we convey your message, will really help you to, 1, stand in your authenticity, which I believe is really important. And secondly, to help you to attract the right opportunities to you, the right people, because at the end of the day, there are different personalities that we each gel with. There are different team members that we get on better with, let's say. So it's about how do we attract the role to you with the people who are in alignment with you. So injecting your values will help you to attract people who share the same values as you do. And thirdly, people profiles. So who are your ideal clients? Similarly, you could flip this to who is your ideal employer? What is your boss like? What is their personality? What are their values, as I said? And what do you want to attract to your brand? Who do you want to attract to your brand? Start brainstorming some things here. And I'm going to share a couple of examples with you in just a moment. So in the meantime, while some of you are brainstorming, I can see that there are a couple of goals here that are focused on looking to attract a specific job and impressing recruiters by sharing your journey on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for that, Mohammed. We can definitely look at helping you to do that through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing tool, as is other social media platforms. How I'd love for you to start thinking about these profiles is, especially when it comes to LinkedIn, a lot of people look at LinkedIn as just a resume. So maybe for you, Mohammed and Ansa, you could look at your profiles and consider, am I using it as a resume right now, or am I using it as an opportunity to tell my story and to showcase how I can help, how I can be of service? This question, how can I help? If you focus on leading with that, that alone has the power to transform the way in which you can communicate, because then all of a sudden it shifts from me and thinking about who you are and what makes you so fantastic to how can I serve? How can I serve the organization that I'm going to be a part of? And how can I potentially serve at a higher level than the other people who I am up against for the role? That's what we want to use the platform for, to showcase your unique gifts, your abilities, and the skills that will make you the candidate that stands out. So moving on, hopefully some of you have brainstormed some answers to these questions. Keep those accessible and have them to the side, because there are a couple of other areas that I wish for you to have a little look at now. As we shared before this session started, this is an introduction. These are pillars that I dive really deep into with clients, partners, and organizations that I'm working with, because there is so much power in each of these areas alone. So we're just going through an overview today. But one of them that is really, really important, that will help you tremendously if you can start paying attention to it, is your mission, your personal mission. And having a statement that essentially acts as a guiding light within what you're doing and how you move forward. So your mission is the personal statement that defines who you are as a person and identifies your purpose, which could be at work or in life in general. So for me, I have a mission statement that's quite personal to me, which just helps to guide me in all areas of my life. So it's an overall life statement, let's say. But start thinking about, if you wanted to put your purpose into a statement, what would that look like? And this is a question that we will circle back to, because a lot of the other areas that we're looking at actually influence this. So right now, it's really just to become aware of the fact that there will be a mission statement, a purpose statement that lies within you that will help to act as that GPS, let's say, that map to guide you to your destination. So just start being aware that you will want to find that at some point, because if you do, it will help you a lot. But these other areas that we're going to look at will influence this. So passions. What are the things that you love to do the most? What sets your soul on fire? What lights your eyes up? What excites you, both in your personal life and your professional life? So in your personal life, it may be something like music, as it is for me. I love to sing. I really find so much joy in the arts, in performing music, in watching other people perform music. That's something that lights me up. What's something that lights you up? In the work environment, something that lights me up is spending time with people. So I love it when I have the opportunity to go out and meet clients, or I have the opportunity to go and speak with groups like Youth International Conclave, especially though when it's in person, because I get a lot of energy from that. So what are your passions? Write a list for your personal life and your professional life. And also, what are your strengths? Have a little look at your skill set. What are the things that you are great at? And if you struggle with this, because I know sometimes to take the moment to look within, it can be a little overwhelming. You may feel a little uncomfortable identifying certain things that you think you're fantastic at. An easy way to help you with this is to ask some friends and family members, especially when you're working with your colleagues. Ask them, if you don't mind my asking, what do you think that some of my best skills are at work that you've experienced with me as a colleague? And a lot of the time you will find the answers to your questions as well from doing those simple asks. Okay. And then finally, who do you wish to make a difference to? Who are the people that we're speaking to, and how can you help them? So again, it goes back to that question, how can I help? Become aware of how you can serve, because in doing that, that will actually help you to create the opportunity for yourself in the workplace that you're seeking. And this applies, like I said, to clients and prospective employers, because then all of a sudden, Mohammed, when you are writing your LinkedIn up and you are considering what is being showcased on your LinkedIn, you can put yourself into the mind of your employer and think, what would they wish to see? What do they need to see that shows them how I can be of service to them and their organization? So you'll start to see then how these different areas come together to form a greater picture that enables you to put your best foot forward. So action steps. I said that we were going to get onto some action steps. I hope you still have the answers to these questions, because we will circle back to these in just a moment. And any questions that you have, put them in the chat and we will do our best to circle back to them towards the end. So some action steps for us for today. Defining your brand. Okay, there are two areas that I wish for you to focus on right now. Number one is to audit your brand equity. This means just to look at what can you bring to the table. So we've already been looking at your passions. We've been looking at your strengths and your skill set. Catalog your credentials. What I'd like you to do is take a few minutes to write down some of your personal and professional experiences, some of your most notable accomplishments, and also your education. So an example may be that you graduated from a specific university. It could be that you have actually had 3 years of work experience collaborating with a local organization. Maybe it's a charitable organization that you used to get some experience. Maybe you did an internship. Maybe you have received some sort of award. Write down your credentials and be aware of what you can bring to the table in that sense. And then ask yourself, am I showcasing these things in a way that serves my audience? So instead of it just being you graduated from X institution, what did you get from that enables you to really serve the organization that you're moving into over and above the qualification? So I want you to start thinking about how are you cataloging your credentials. And number two, your brand adjectives. And this comes back to what we were talking about in relation to mission, passions, and strengths. Okay, so I'd like you to start listing keywords that describe the real you using descriptive language. So an example could be that you are an analyst. For example, you could put your job role. So for me, I could list that I am a brand consultant. However, if I start to look at that in more descriptive language, it may be that I am a brand transformer, or I am a brand architect. I help people to architect their message so that they can unleash their potential. There are different ways that you can say the same thing that helps people to really see the bigger picture in terms of how you can really serve them. Another example would be that if you're analysis, then finding solutions with out-of-the-box strategies could be a more exciting way of explaining what you do. Okay, so start writing that list. So then you should end up having two lists, one with your credentials, the personal and professional achievements, experiences, accomplishments, and also a list with your brand adjectives that are descriptive words that describe who you are and what you do. Okay, and then what you want to do is check the alignment. So are you currently conveying this message through your personal branding? Your LinkedIn, your Facebook, if you have a personal website, your Instagram, are you conveying these qualities? So I can see some questions coming up about how you're promoting yourself on platforms. For a second, I would love to encourage you to backtrack and start asking yourself these questions. Am I conveying the brand equity I have? You know, the credentials that I have, the experience that I've had? And additionally, am I conveying it in a way that's exciting? Am I taking the adjectives and describing what I can do in a way that stands out? Because instantaneously, we will be able to find where we can make improvements if you have a little look at these two lists and check the alignment. So now we're getting to the point of how are you then conveying the message on the platforms? So a couple of questions to go back to is, what is the primary message you want to share, and how do you want your audience to view you? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to redesign your social channels to ensure they are congruent with your message, your values, and your goals. So you see how we started with the question, what do you want to achieve? What do you wish to accomplish? What are the specific goals, the specific targets that we're working towards? But then we're connecting that back to, what are the values that you have? What's important to you? And what is the message that you want to share that shows how you can help? So it's really simple. How can I help? That's what we want to show the world. So now we're going to go into a couple of other questions that will really help you, and I'm going to share some examples with you as well. So firstly, the qualities that you admire the most in others. What are they? Take a moment to, again, write this down. So on the top of your page, write qualities I admire the most in others, and then start listing some of them. So a couple that I could share with you from myself when I'm doing this exercise would be authenticity, integrity, work ethic, and kindness. So something that is really, really important to me is making sure that I do my work with kindness. And when I engage with people, they feel as though they are being heard, they are being listened to, I'm showing up, I'm being present, and I'm being kind. Secondly, I value work ethic in others, but I also value when people can see the work ethic that I bring to the table. And authenticity and integrity are also values that I admire in others, but they're also things that I hold within myself. And I do my best to live with authenticity and to have integrity in everything that I do. So looking at the qualities that you admire the most in others actually will often show you what you value the most within yourself. And this, again, is very important because it influences how you work, how you operate, and how you can communicate. And one thing that I feel is sometimes when it comes to personal branding, it can be misinterpreted as something that means you need to suddenly go on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook and say, this is why I'm so great. It's not about that. It's just about how do you authentically show who you are. You know, somebody else may have other values that, again, need to be reflected, but it's understanding what are your values. What are the values that you admire in other people? Because that will also show you if it's the optimal client relationship or if it's the optimal employer relationship, and how are we conveying that? So another question to consider is, what are your most important core values? So this comes back to the question that I asked previously. The qualities you admire the most in others will help you to see also what are your most important core values. And a couple of examples of mine would be, again, you know, authenticity, kindness, work ethic, And that then has helped me understanding these things to take it into 3 words essentially that represent who I am and what I stand for. And I can share them with you if you'd like. They would be empowerment, arts, and education. So these are 3 guiding words that help me in what I do. So when I'm considering even the likes of where I will give a speech, I ask myself, is this in alignment with what I stand for? So when Umar asked me to speak with Youth International Conclave, I could say, yes, it actually is in alignment with what I stand for because it's focused on the 2 words that I shared, empowerment and education. So do you see how understanding this, it will help you to architect your personal message to attract opportunities that are aligned to you and also to help you create more opportunities. Okay. Next up, we're going to be moving on to what are the greatest activities within your work life that offer the highest worth to your potential employer or colleagues? What are your strongest skills, let's say? What are you the best at? Because if we can consider this, like I've seen another question come in here in terms of building trust so that you can impress recruiters, understanding the answer to this question will help you with that. Because if we can see, for example, that you're really good at a certain task, then maybe we want to build your experience in that. So maybe there's like a stepping stone before you're getting to the job, or maybe we just need to highlight that more on your profile. Maybe we need to find a way to illustrate it so that people can actually experience it before they speak with you. First, you need to know what are the things that you are best at. So if we take software engineer as an example, I know this is what one of you have shared being your dream job. What are the tasks within that role that you can say to yourself, I'm good at this? Or what tasks are you the best at? If there's something that you need to improve on, focus on improving it. But what are you really good at? Because then if that is the goal, that's where you want to end up, and we want to impress recruiters in that regard, then we need to show them on your profiles how the skills of the software engineer are things that you are really good at or really connected to, or that you can bring a unique twist to or a special insight to. And that can be done in a variety of ways. But the first thing is we need to know what makes your strengths your strengths. Okay. And finally, another question is, what can I do effectively that is of worth to others? So when it comes to, if we focus for a second a little bit more on the landing a specific job, then you need to remember you're going to be part of a team. It's not just about you. It's also about how can you support the organization, support your colleagues, support your boss, your team members. So consider, what can you do effectively that is of worth to others? Because an employer is not just looking at your, let's say, a tangible skill in the sense of I'm good at making presentations. They're also looking at, how do you participate? What's the energy that you bring to the team? Are you positively influencing that? There are many different areas that will make you a great candidate. And what I would like to find is, how can you showcase that on all levels? So, for example, going back to my core value of kindness, then I know that if I am going into a new organization, that is something that a potential client or a partner of mine can say, I know Hannah will bring that into the environment that she's going into. So it's not only about the tangible skills, it's also about who you are and how you as an individual slot into the environment that you're going into. So what we're going to do now is look at a couple of changes that you can actually make in real time to help you start enhancing your personal presentation. So a couple of quick tips. Number one, your profile photos and your cover photos. You will not believe the amount of times I have been in dialogue with a client or a colleague who wants to present themselves more effectively, and you go onto their social media and their profile photo is not reflecting who they are. Very simply, a nice photo of you, a headshot, ideally smiling because it's more welcoming and people can connect with you a little bit more. is so powerful. So that would be something you can easily take on a smartphone, have a friend, a family member help you find a simple background, a white wall, a gray wall, take a photo of yourself, choose a color that helps you, stand out. So for example, in my personal branding, this is diving deeper into the topic of branding and visual identity, but you'll notice I use a lot of the same colors in my pictures. So I'm usually wearing blues or pinks because they tend to complement my complexion and also reflect my personality. So you see then how in that photo, all of a sudden your headshot is also influencing the feeling that people have when they think of you and the association in their mind. So a smiling headshot is a very easy thing that you can do that will make a difference to your profile. Additionally, your headlines. So on Facebook, we have the intro, and on LinkedIn, we have the headline. Many times when I look at profiles, it just says the university somebody is at or the job position they're in. I would encourage you to rethink this, because this is an opportunity for you to say something to a prospective employer or a prospective client. For example, we took, when we were looking at some of the keywords in the brand adjectives, and we took the likes of consultant. If my LinkedIn headline simply said consultant, it's not telling somebody what can I do for you. But if I say, as an example, simplifying the branding process so that your message can attract clients and opportunities with ease through brand consulting, all of a sudden I'm saying something with my headline. I'm taking the opportunity to share a message that lets somebody know how I can help them. And this is just one off the top of my head. However, it's something for you to think about when it comes to your headline. What are you saying? And that makes a tremendous difference. Additionally, your work stat, make sure that your credentials are up to date. So we said to write the list of the credentials. Look at your credentials, your personal, your professional experiences, your education, if you've been volunteering, if you've done internships, whatever it might be. Ask yourself, are they being highlighted? And start highlighting them. And I would encourage you not only to include the year, the timeline that you were with an institution or with an organization, also write something that connects again to your values. So one organization that I work with is a nonprofit in the US that is focused on performing arts education. So I would be able to inject some of my personality into that by saying, this is an organization that empowers young people through performing arts education, regardless of economic background. And I am passionate about it because I have loved music ever since I was a little girl. And so spending time in an organization that empowers young lives is something that I love to do. All of a sudden, then they can connect my personality to why I'm working in the role. And then I would include what my professional role is within the organization as well. So you see, all of a sudden, you're taking these opportunities to not just say what you're doing, but also why you're doing what you're doing and how you are involved. And then additionally, there's a couple of things on social media that a lot of the times an employer will go to look at your Facebook or your Instagram, and sometimes you will be tagged in things that may not be relevant to you. But there's a very quick fix to that. Just make sure that when you are being tagged, you set up the post review on Facebook so that you can choose to show or hide content that you've been tagged in on your profile. It's so simple, but it makes a big difference. Your social media is an opportunity for you to show the world why they should work with you and why you should be a chosen candidate. And so there are certain things that you just don't need to show or are completely irrelevant to what you are trying to share. So just be aware of that as well and make small tweaks and adjustments in this way, because it will make a big difference to your branding. And just to share a active example, this is my LinkedIn headline. So you can see, as we talked about, a photo. There's a photo of me. It's a headshot. I'm smiling. It reflects my personality. My cover photo is also something that shows me doing something which I love and is one of my skills, let's say, within my professional life. I'm delivering a speech in Sweden to a mastermind group. And then also my headline, again, it showcases one of the projects that I'm working on, which is this nonprofit that I mentioned. And so instead of just saying Director of Advancement, which is my title in the organization, it's empowering young lives through arts education. So you see the shift. It's not just about the role, it's about what are you doing, because your title and your role is just one part of what you're actually working towards and the greater vision that you are committed to working on. And then additionally, you can also take this opportunity to highlight some accomplishments. So you should have that list of credentials that I mentioned. You could take a similar structure and incorporate a couple of the accomplishments that you have or notable achievements. So I have my blog award in there, and I also have a recognition that I had from Yahoo Finance in 2021, which was that I was named one of the top under 30 female entrepreneurs to watch by Yahoo Finance. So it's just an opportunity, as I said, to start connecting the dots. Connect your personality with your profession or with your goals. So if you are looking, for example, to attract a job in a certain realm, then you may just illustrate on your profile how you have all of the skills and you're working towards the qualifications, or you have the qualifications for that role. And this could be an opportunity for you to do that. So as I said, outside the box thinker, finding solutions through, innovative strategies, X, Y, and Z. You can influence the way people see you without just saying what your title is, but by showing them what you can do for them. And then just to start closing this, a signature formula that I quite often talk about with my clients is bank. So I always joke that we bank on bank. And by bank, I mean BA plus N equals C. So this is a 3-step formula that will help you to start considering how does what we've just discussed influence your end goal. So if you take the final step, which is C, conversion, that's where we are looking to get to. So whether it's a client that you're wishing to convert to a client, or a job that you are, you want to sign the contract and officially start your new role, that's the step where we reach the goal. Okay. However, in order to get there, you have to go through 2 other steps. And this is something that many people forget about. A lot of the time, people say to themselves, I just want to reach the conversion. However, you have to put in the work first to get there. And the first step is brand awareness. And this is directly influenced by everything we have just talked about. So what is your brand, which is what we've been working on today, and how are you conveying it to make people aware of your brand? As I gave the example with the shop window earlier on, if people don't know you exist, they cannot choose you. So how are you making them aware of who you are? This comes through your brand awareness. This comes through your social channels. And the next step then is, once you have tidied up your social media, you've started to make the changes that we've just shared on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, on your Instagram, how are you nurturing the people that are coming into your circle? How are you building your relationships? This may be sharing value on your LinkedIn. So if you wish to be somebody that is top of mind, as I said, when people think of you first as the go-to person within your space, then you should be sharing something valuable on your profile to let them know that you have that knowledge. So it may be 3, like if you're a web designer, for example, 3 top tips to help you transform your website and increase your conversions. And then you could share 3 valuable tips that would help the person reading the LinkedIn article or the post to implement within their business. And all of a sudden, they'll start thinking about you as somebody who has knowledge on the topic, which will then help them think of you first. So you see what I mean? They've become aware of you. Now they're being nurtured. They're being engaged with. You can drop a message to somebody every so often. You can comment on other people's content. You can start engaging and start building the relationships that will then help you to reach that goal. So just to start piecing together the bigger puzzle, because it is a big puzzle and this is an introduction, I would love to dive deeper into all of these different nuances with you. However, if you start thinking about you've got your personal brand, how are you making people aware of you, and then start thinking about nurturing them as well as converting them, it will help you to build a process that becomes easy. It becomes natural for you. That's the goal, that it becomes natural. And then all of a sudden you are able to attract opportunities to your brand through the awareness to reach more of your goals. So to conclude, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So make it one that stands above the noise, builds trust, and authentically reflects who you are. Because brand awareness will help you to create more influence, and that will help you to create access to the people who will help you and who you can help, whether it's an employer, whether it's a client, whether it's a partner. Brand awareness creates influence, and that creates access. So finally, I'd like to encourage you to, with everything you've taken from today, reevaluate as you move forward. Your brand is not a destination, it is a journey. And just as you grow in real life, your personal brand will grow too. That's okay. Things will shift. Different things maybe will become more important to you at different phases of your life. It's okay to reevaluate your personal brand. Just keep in mind that you need to live it, you need to embody it, you need to represent your values and what you stand for and all of the things that we've talked about, not only when you are posting something on LinkedIn, but also when you show up to your interview, when you're spending time with your colleagues, when you're delivering a talk. You need to live your brand. You need to be authentic, and that will help you to become magnetic. So thank you so much. I hope you found value. I know we have quite a few questions in the chat. This is me and my details. If you'd like to connect, my personal website and my company website are there. I'd really encourage you to just soak up all of this information, spend the time answering those questions. They're simple questions, many of them, but when you take the time to really reflect, it can transform the way in which you present yourself and the people that you attract to you as a result. So thank you so much. I believe we will have Umar rejoining us now. For those of you who would be interested as well in pursuing more on the personal brand front, I know that he will be providing the opportunity for you to get in touch to see how we may be able to do further sessions with you to support you in your journey. Okay, I'm seeing a message here that there may be some technical issues. So that's okay. I will continue alone for a moment then. What I would say is I could try and answer a couple of the questions for you. I'm not sure how much time we have. Maybe you could let me know in the chat, Umar. But I'm happy to answer a couple of questions if everyone would like. Okay, so one of the questions here from Mohammed, should we start posting on all platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook simultaneously, or should I focus on creating an audience on one platform initially? Besides, should we post some things on all the platforms or invest times in aligning the content for different platforms? Like creating a poster of what I've learned today and uploading the same on all platforms. Okay, so these are some great questions. There are a couple of questions in that, so I'm going to simplify it a little bit. When you know what you want to say, then we just need to get it out to the world. However, a big obstacle that comes up for many people is overwhelm. So let me know in the chat if any of you have experienced overwhelm before, because as Mohammed kindly shared in that message, there are so many platforms. We are being pulled in so many different directions nowadays, from LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, obviously newer platforms like Threads, Facebook, etc., etc. There's so much going on. So the most important thing is consistency, especially when you're starting out. So initially when I started with a blog, and I became quite consistent in posting my content there. And then I started to use the other channels to share my blog. So if you are looking to become let's say a thought leader or somebody who is looked to for insights, then the first step is to build your audience, and building your audience is always usually easier when you start on one platform or you focus more on one platform. So make a commitment to yourself. Let's say you take LinkedIn, decide realistically how much time can I spend on this, and commit to doing a certain number of posts per week, per month. Maybe you decide I'm going to post one LinkedIn article per week. So Mohammed, you could take the content that you learned today and put together the 3 biggest takeaways that you had, into an article for your LinkedIn. And then again, you may attend another session with Youth International Conclave next week, for example, where you learn another tip that's relevant and you could write another article. So you can actually make content from what you've learned from different people and different mentors that you've had or different guides that you've had. But starting with one will just help you to become a bit more consistent. And then once you have a pipeline of content, you can actually take that content and repurpose it. So instead of thinking about making content for every platform, you can just adjust the content for each platform. So you could make a post then from that LinkedIn article on your Instagram. You could use a platform like Canva to create a nice graphic and break down the 3 top tips from the LinkedIn article into 3 Instagram posts, for example. However, what I would do then is to make it relevant to your desired outcome and your goal. So if you want to achieve a successful career as a software engineer, think about how can you help other software engineers, or how would this be relevant for that space, so that you can then all of a sudden not just become somebody sharing lots of lessons from different people in different industries. You can make it content that's relevant to you and your niche, so that people then can associate, as I said, you as the go-to person in that space, or you as somebody who can help in that area. So another question that we have is, let me have a little look here. How do I determine when I've achieved mastery in a certain skill? And how do I decide if it is suitable to make it my personal brand? Very good question. In relation to this question, what I would say is, it's a process, not a destination. So as I shared with the process of building your personal brand, it's a journey. It's something that will evolve just as we do as human beings. So what I would encourage you to do is to look at the things. So we talked about cataloging your credentials. They would be things that are very specific achievements, like your university qualification, like a certain amount of years that you've spent working with an organization, et cetera, maybe an award you've achieved. These are things that will help you to be validated, let's say, when it comes to the authority and the value that you're sharing. In terms of mastery, I mean, generally it's said 10,000 hours is what it takes to become a master of a skill. However, you can also just share that you are an active learner and you're developing your skills. So one thing, if you're looking for a job, for example, a lot of employers will admire your dedication to self-improvement. So you could showcase that. You could say, these are my credentials. This is what I'm good at. These are my strengths. These are my passions. Maybe there's a specific area of the job that you're seeking that you really love and that you know you can bring an extra flavor to within the organization that you're hoping to work with. But you can also say, I'm an avid learner and I'm very focused on self-improvement. And over the past 3 years, I've undertaken X, Y, and Z extra course, which has helped me learn this, and this that's now relevant to the role that I am seeking to have. So it could be as simple as, I used to be very introverted, but I've put myself out there and I've been attending networking events for the past 3 years. And now I'm much more confident. So I know within the organization, I can be a spokesperson, I can handle meetings, I can approach new clients, I can pitch, whatever it might be. It's about packaging it up. So your personal brand doesn't have to be just one thing. It's a compilation of what makes you who you are, the expertise that you have, the skills that you've acquired, and also the values that you have, like I said. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me have another look and see if there are another couple of questions I can answer before we finish up. What strategies can I use to effectively showcase my unique skills and personality in order to build a strong and memorable personal brand? Thank you so much for that question, Abdul. A great question indeed. What I would say is to first take the time to go through the questions that we shared here today. So this will help you to understand what your unique skills are and what is your personality first. Then it's about executing that within your branding, as we talked about. So one strategy could be to make content. For example, as we were just sharing with the question from Mohammed, maybe making some LinkedIn articles, choosing a certain platform or vehicle that you can use that you feel good at. One thing here also to consider is, again, your strengths. If you're a really good writer, focus on writing, make LinkedIn articles, focus on consistently posting on that social platform by sharing your ability to communicate through words. Somebody else may be more comfortable with video or love being on video or just enjoy connecting in that way. If that's you, for example, Abdul, you could start making a video once a week or once every day, depending on your commitment. Choose a time frame that will work for you, that's realistic, so that you can actually get into the habit, because the habit is very important here in making sure that you are being consistent and starting to put yourself out there. That would be one way to start conveying your skills, would be through video. So sharing value that's relevant to your audience, which then goes back to who are you speaking to. So if you're looking for a particular type of employer, then they may be looking for certain skills, like I said. Then you can look at the skill set that you have written down on your piece of paper, as well as your credentials, and start sharing some of those skills through video. So it may be giving a tip on how to become more effective at a specific task with your audience, hashtagging what's relevant to your niche, just showing people that you are able to do what you say you are. Illustrate your tools. So one thing I did when I started moving from the blogging space to the brand agency side was I shared a lot of advice in terms of how you can start to build your personal brand through web design and your language and marketing tips. And I just showed people, I just gave examples, and that then helped me to attract aligned opportunities and aligned clients to me, because they saw I was illustrating how I do what I do, and I was bringing them into the conversation. I was encouraging them to participate. So that's one strategy that you can use. Encourage people to participate through your content. You just need to choose what content you feel comfortable with. So whether it's video, writing, find your skill. Like I said, find your skill, your strengths, and start showcasing that through the content that you make. I know we've had a couple of more questions as well. Let me see if I can answer one or two of them. Let me have a little look. How do I know who my audience are and what is best suited for them? It's a great question from Joshua. So very simply in that regard, it comes back to one of the first questions I asked, which was, what are your primary goals? What do you wish to achieve? If you are looking to attract a specific job, then your audience might be the companies that you would love to work for. If there's a certain big tech company that you're looking to work for, they could be who you're speaking to. People within that organization, people within organizations similar to that, because one of the powerful things that personal branding can help you do is to become top of mind, like I said. And if you are to become top of mind, so somebody thinks about you when there is a job opening, or there's an application opening, or there's an opportunity opening, then they need to know that you are a relevant fit. So you could start making your content with those people, those organizations in mind. You could also look at some other employees within those organizations who may have some good traction on LinkedIn, or some of the leaders within those organizations, and see what are they posting, what are they talking about, what are they interested in, and then see how can you participate in that conversation through your own content. And again, similarly, if you are a business owner, it would be thinking about who are your ideal clients and what are the questions that they have, what are the problems they're facing, and how can you help them find solutions through the skill set that you have. So one example would be if a new entrepreneur has a great product, but they have very little knowledge on how to market it, then if that was my client that I was looking to attract, I might write a post about, how a new entrepreneur can make marketing simple and use Instagram to build their business by sharing 2 top tips, for example. So it's speaking to the client and making content that is relevant to them, and then speaking to them in a way that makes sense. So I hope that was helpful for you. Additionally, I think I'll take one more question. Let me have a little look. Which type of product attracts the audience? So thank you for that question, John. In relation to the product attracting the audience, that is a very open-ended question. So if we make it a little bit simpler, consider who you follow. The companies, the people that you engage with on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on social media, both personally and professionally. Why do you engage with them? A lot of the time, great marketing, great branding is not just about the product. It's actually about the values. It's about the ethos of the business. It's about the message that they're sharing. And that is something to consider when it comes to you and your own promotion. So a lot of the time, you just need to think about what makes you you. An example that's really a very valid example is actually Apple. So when they started and they burst onto the scene, if you will, a big part of the ethos they were creating was think different. There are so many amazing computer solutions out there and different companies that offer great tools for us to use, because that's really what they are, right? Tools. The product they offer are tools for communication. But the whole ethos around think different attracted a whole wave of people. So it wasn't only about the product, it was also about the brand that the company was building and the reliability of a certain brand experience. So that's also something to consider. It's not just about the product, it's about the brand experience you're creating, what people feel when they engage with you. I shared some of my values earlier, authenticity, kindness. Do people feel that when they work with me? Hopefully you have experienced that today. That's the type of thing you need to consider. So are your values coming out within the work that you're doing? Can people see that? Can people feel it? That's what attracts the audience. It's not just the product, it's also the brand experience. But when you are illustrating your product, what I would encourage you to do is don't just think about the features. So for example, a pen. If you are selling a pen, or promoting a pen, let's say, a lot of the time people would just say, this is a pen and the ink in the pen is black and it is a gray, silver, black color, okay? But instead of selling the features, because that's what they are, talk about the benefits. How will this help somebody? All of a sudden, if you experience this pen, you can finally get down the ideas that you have inside of your head onto paper and start to realize your business goals. You can start to realize your dreams. You can start to explore the impact that you can make in the world through the written word. This is the same pen, but all of a sudden it becomes a vehicle to transform a life or to create an opportunity to make an impact in that person's life. So that's also an example of how you can start thinking about, is it the product that attracts the audience, or is it just how you convey the message of the product and the experience that you are creating? That was a very off the bat example, but I hope you got an idea as to what I was referring to. However, I will have to finish up here. I know we spent a little bit more time answering some questions, so I hope that was okay. I hope you found value from it. If you did, I would love it if you would share any insight that you got from today's session, or maybe take a photo and tag me and Youth International Conclave on an Instagram story. That would be very cool. We'd love to see that. But really, I just hope you got so much value today. I hope you enjoyed participating in this session. And if you would like to know more about the personal branding side of things, then I encourage you to get in touch with Umar and Youth International Conclave, and we may be able to do something in addition to today's session where we could dive into more specific details, because this was an introduction, as I said. I'd also encourage you to have a little look. I know he was planning to share a little bit more about the fellowship program. So it sounds like an amazing initiative. So I definitely encourage you to have a little look into that if you are a young leader looking for tools and support to help you on your professional journey. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care. Bye.